Ever spend all day fishing and catch nothing? That's what happens to hackers when Cisco Duo's on watch. Every login, every device, every user, protected. Cisco Duo. Phishing season is over. Learn more at duo.com.
Justin?
Yeah, Andros.
What's the difference between a nerd and a geek?
Oh, that's easy. A nerd is your classical pocket protector wearing, jocks got to pick on them, beat them up kind of person. A geek is I don't know. I was just trying to throw that out there, but it turns out I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, that's if you put, say, a nerd and a geek in the Thunderdome and gave them a couple of like lightsabers, what would happen? Or would they just grow out and be like, dude, we got lightsabers? I mean,
I think the narrative was trying to make like geek cool and then nerd not cool, but I don't think that ever quite worked out. So I don't know what the correct verbiage is, but both of them are totally not cool. But
I disagree, man. Them's fighting words, and I think we're going to have someone we have someone who is represented the nerd culture.
Well, we are representing the geek culture here at Marketing Geeks.
That's right, man. So it's about to go down in this shit. Ladies and gentlemen, we're the Marketing Geeks. All right. Well, our guest tonight is the creator, curator, and main writer for the Effective Nerd. That's not with a V. It's effectivenerd.com. A website that talks about all things kind of nerdy and indie art, and with lots of resources, and also Hypercrumbs, which has just launched, hypercrumbs.com, all the way from Albany, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Iara.
Welcome to the show.
What's up? Hey, thank you for having me.
And I also have to say, you are genuinely one of our 7 listeners.
Yeah, true. I've been listening for a while now. It's one of my favorite podcasts.
That's crazy. It's like you and my wife. I know 2 of our 7 listeners.
Well, on that note, Andros, I mean, one of the reasons that we discovered Aaron here was that Aaron published an article that was titled, I think it was 25 podcasts that make me more effective at work. Something, I'm paraphrasing the title exactly, but something to that effect. And we were on that list. I think we were towards the top even.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing, and so we had to have you on the show, man. But then when we dug a little deeper down the rabbit hole, it turns out that you've got some interesting things going on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about effectivenerd.com?
Sure.
How did it come about?
So when I was in grad school, I was having a hard time finding a job with my degrees. And I was actually working 5 jobs at the time.
Oh, my God. What were your degrees in?
My bachelor's is in gerontology, which is like the study of aging. And my master's is in nursing home management. So I was really gearing up for a career in elder care. I found that with the baby boomers all hitting the retirement age, that we're going to have this massive shift in our society where there's going to be a large elderly population. And I've always loved the elderly. My mom was a home health aide when I was little. So I really wanted to get myself in that industry as much as I could.
I was going to ask about the familial connection there, because usually that's not like something that people are going to pursue like without some sort of connection in the family or a friend or somebody that's in the business. So your mom was kind of in that business. And is that what initially kind of opened your eyes to see like, oh wow, I want to get in front of this trend? Because yes, you're absolutely right. It's an emerging trend that it's going to be a growing industry very, very shortly here.
Yeah, definitely. My mom was a home health aide, and I had really strong relationships with my grandparents. And I read a book before I went off to college. It was, I think it was Lauren Pope's 100 Colleges That Will Change Your Life. And I found one of the things he said was that you can get into a better college than you normally would if you're a man, if you go to a college that recently went co-ed. So I started looking at colleges that recently went co-ed, and then I found the college I went to, and they actually had a nursing home on campus with a nursing home research center. So it was like a perfect fit for me. So I could get in, and then I could also work with the elderly while majoring in elder care. So it was a really nice experience.
Were you able to get college credits for that too? I mean, was that like an internship / college credit program when you got to work there on campus, or was that just like more like intern, or were you even paid for it?
I started off as an intern. The college requires that you have internships for junior and senior year, and then I did end up transitioning into paid work there.
So, what made you decide to pursue that line of work to begin with? I mean, what was it about, of all the things you could have learned and all the kind of the schools of thought or the studies you could have done, the jobs you could have looked at going towards, what was it about elder care? I mean, just personally, was there some sort of thing that you were attracted to, or did you I mean, what was that inciting incident?
A big part of it was my parents worked a lot as a child, so I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, especially, in the younger school years where I would get out of school early, and then they would watch me. We actually growing up, we had a house where it was kind of two houses bridged together by a hallway. And my parents lived in one house and my grandparents lived in another, so I could just walk across the hall and be with my grandparents. Oh, nice. And then with my mom working in elder care, I had a lot of exposure to the elderly as a child, and it was just something I was always passionate about growing up.
That's pretty cool. And so so you pursued that. So how did Effective Nerd kind of become part of that story?
So while I was in grad school, I was broke because I had a lot of student loan debt. And even though I was still in grad school, my undergrad loan payments were coming in. So like I said, I was working 5 jobs at the time while trying to find a job in my field using my degrees. And I didn't really feel good about myself because I was, living in my parents' basement, even though I felt like I had done everything right. I went to college, I had done everything. And it just wasn't all fitting together. And me being, a geeky person, I was playing a lot of video games at the time. And I was having a hard time kind of building my adult life. And that's when I had the idea for the site, because I would go online and I would look for sites that would help you kind of build your life. And most of the blogs that I were finding were either like mommy blogs or parenting blogs or business entrepreneur blogs, and I didn't really find any websites that really fit me, where I'm into video games and comic books and underground music, and I really wanted a kind of a self-help website that would help geeky and nerdy people. And when I couldn't find it, I kind of decided to make it, and that's how it got started. The original idea of Effective Nerd was to help people who were in a similar situation as me. I didn't start the site until I had, a degree and I was starting a family and I had a career and everything. And I kind of wanted to give back, to the geek community and kind of help people that are kind of stuck in that same situation that I was in.
Well, I mean, just tell you that I love that, because you're doing, I don't know if you knew you were doing it back then, but you're doing really effective marketing, maybe without knowing it. Maybe you knew what you were doing, but you identified like a really, really tiny kind of sub niche category. So you're qualifying yourself as like a certain type of person. I'm a nerd that's in this situation in life, and I want a self-help program for people like me, or I want self-help material, articles that I can access for people like me. And just by doing that, like, you got in front of what's coming right now is that anyone that wants to run a blog or run an effective website of any kind of sort is really having to niche down to find a specific audience, because the generic topics are really, really hard to build an audience around right now. just because there's so much competition out there, and you have like legacy media that's covering kind of like the generic aspects of things. And so by kind of narrowing it down, you kind of are able to find a tribe that's also going to be more connected to you because they're going to be actually associating on a more personal level. So was there any marketing taking place there, or was that just like something that you're just like, I just need this for myself, I'm going to create it? What happened there? Was there any business acumen taking place in the back of your head there?
Not really. I started listening to entrepreneur podcasts to kind of help learn how to start a website. This wasn't my first website. I had websites growing up, but this was my first website where I said, hey, I wanted this to be serious and I wanted to try to make money with it. I actually, when I was in grad school, I started listening to Pat Flynn, and he kind of helped get my feet wet in terms of thinking, in terms of business and in terms of strategy like that. But really, I just wanted to create a site that I wanted. Like, if Effective Nerd had existed 5 years ago, that would have been my favorite website. And that's kind of how I try to keep it.
Now, what about your writing background? I mean, so you told us before the show here that you're putting up about 5 articles every week on this blog site. So were you a strong student in English or writing when you were in high school, college, or was that something that you kind of just adopted a more conversational tone to? Because I hear different backgrounds from different people that get into their writing career. Some of them are like, I was a terrible English student. Some of them were different than that. But what was your story in that regard?
As far as academics go, I always did really well. I was always in the honor program and everything. Okay. But I really attribute my writing style to my biology teacher in college.
Interesting.
I don't think it was biology. It was abnormal psychology, maybe.
Okay, that's a little different.
I was so used to, I had written so many English essays at the point where I almost had like a template in my head where I would just fill in the names of the characters in the books and turn it in. And I hit this psychology class and that stopped working and I was failing. And it was because the teacher hated my writing style. So I spent a semester with her kind of learning how she thought I should write. And she had this very kind of, since it was a science class, it's very concise scientific style of writing. And it kind of blended with my kind of creative style of writing. And then I ended up with this kind of weird creative scientific hybrid writing style that I really owe the teacher in that class.
Which coincidentally seems to be very SEO friendly.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you explain that process a little bit? I mean, like, is there like a specific format? I mean, is there like introduction, 3 points, or like, is there anything like that takes place with this, or is this something you cannot explain like in a short period of time?
For the articles on my site?
Yeah, like your format.
It really depends. If I'm writing an article that I just want to write for me, I usually do the headings as kind of an outline, and then I fill out each heading. If I am writing something that is more SEO based or keyword research based, what I like to do is take the main keyword and then, pull a list of the semantic keywords or the LSI keywords. Yep. And when you look at the list of the semantic keywords, you can kind of almost see the story in your head. And then I kind of lump them together into different categories, and then they become the different sections of my articles. I also love involving other people in my articles. So one thing I like to do is I've done over 100 interviews for the website. And what I do is after I interview someone, I take out all their like quotables out of the interview and I put them in a main spreadsheet. And then I list topics next to each quote. And then when I have like 10 or 20 quotes under a specific topic, then I put out like a quote article where that way I can kind of give a second life to my interviews.
Smart.
That's pretty cool. So I'm curious if you don't mind, because SEO is always like one of those topics that you there's always like something new to learn. Can you break down your process a little bit? Give us an example of like from idea to finish story. How do you do the keyword research?
Yeah, what tools too?
And how do you dig deeper when you start to, after you've kind of figured this out? What's your next steps when you like, this might be a good article?
Yeah, I try to start with the keyword research before I come up with the article, and I do it either two different ways. One way is I'll have the idea for the article in my head, and I'll look for keywords that match what I'm thinking, which I notice doesn't always work that well, because if I'm talking about independent artists, it's kind of hard because that is such a small group of people.
Now, are you using a tool? Are you using like Google Keyword Planner? Are you using like SEMrush or Ahrefs? Or what are you using to do this?
I use SEMrush or SEMrush. However, I don't think I've ever heard someone actually pronounce it.
I've heard it called both ways. I don't know what the official one is. I'm not sure if it's SEMrush or SEMrush. I couldn't tell you. We were supposed to have somebody on the show recently from that company, and maybe we will still, but they canceled last minute.
Oh. Yeah, it's a really great product. I like all the tools that they have. It's a little pricey, at least for me. Starting out, I think it's $100 a month
for the lowest version.
Yeah. What I did was, when I first started off, was SEMrush, Ahrefs, and Moz, and any other SEO tool that I could find. I would sign up for the free trial and then cancel. I would make every single keyword that I want to research, sign up for the free trial, run all the keywords, and then cancel. And then I did that for the first year of running the site until the site was bringing in enough money where I could afford just buying the membership. And I think it's a good way to get started. I know some people would say that's kind of scummy to just sign up and cancel, but I did.
No.
I signed up for the free trial.
No comments, because they might be on the show in the future here. So,
but I did end up purchasing their product, so the free trial worked, right?
Yeah.
So, and when. Why was it, out of all of the ones that you had tried, why did you settle on SEMrush?
I really like their backlink analytics. That helps a lot. And they have a content writing tool, which also has a WordPress plugin. So it kind of takes over your SEO for your website. So you'll actually write an article in WordPress, and the SEMrush plugin will tell you how likely it is to rank based on how it's written. And it gives you a lot of good tips, similar to Yoast SEO, but I feel it's way more in depth than Yoast SEO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that tool has really evolved. It's only been around for like 2 years, maybe, with that level of like content writing tool, as far as my awareness goes with SEMrush. But I've used it, and it's an amazing tool. Yeah,
it works really well.
And so you just get like some crazy shower thought, like just something pops into your head, and you're like, and then you'll do the research, and you'll see kind of, do you do like main keywords, or do you do more like long tail queries? Like how do you start to figure out what you're going to write about?
I don't know who came up with it, but I try to do the cluster method, where you have one big article that goes after the main keyword, and then you write smaller articles for all the long tails, and then use internal links to point them all at the big article.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. So wait, break that down again. So, because you find these different sort of threads. So give me an example. If you can give me kind of a real world example of how this would, like with something you just written recently.
Sure. I recently did a few articles on decluttering your house. So decluttering your house would kind of be the main keyword. And
that's on effectivenerd.com.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And the more long tail keywords were declutter your home checklist, how to declutter your bedroom, how to declutter your bathroom. So I made the main article, I believe it was called like 9 strategies for decluttering your home. And then with that article, I wrote a separate article for each room of the house. And then I also made like the ultimate checklist as its own article. And I pointed them all back to the main article.
Yeah. So I'm on that blog right now, the ultimate declutter checklist for your home. First of all, you say in this article, you've got a section right on the top, and then you have like the little, you've got decluttering checklist before you go to any room. room decluttering, living room, kitchen. I mean, you basically listed in order what is in the article with links to each of those things. Super SEO friendly. So if somebody's looking for this particular phrase, there's a good possibility this is going to pop up. And then you link all of that to the main article.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. And do you write all your own articles on the site? Are these 100% you? Do you outsource any of the writing? And how long does it take you to write an article per se, like on average?
So I run like the entire site is just me. So I do all of it. I
had a feeling.
I do the writing, the SEO, the branding, all of it. I do have friends that will guest post every once in a while because I am friends with other bloggers and we'll exchange guest posts on occasion. But yeah, for the most part, it's just me.
Wow. How do you find time to do it? Like, how long does it take you to write one article?
Depends. I've always been a huge note taker. I actually, in grad school, I worked at Sears that was one of my 5 jobs in grad school, was I worked at Sears as a television salesperson. And, Sears isn't the best brand. So the store was basically empty all the time. And I had grad school homework to do. So I kind of got in this habit of, I would have a topic in my head and then I would kind of like mind dump everything onto a sheet of paper or just free write about it. And then I would go back and fix it up. And that's kind of what I do for Effective Nerd is I have a list on my phone. I use Evernote. Mm-hmm. And I have a list of article ideas with the appropriate keywords. And then whenever I have a few minutes of downtime, I look at the title of the different articles. And if I have a little spark in my head, I'll write a few paragraphs. And then if I have another spark about a different article, I'll write a few paragraphs. And then when I actually have time to sit down, I'll put it into WordPress and then actually fix it up and turn it into an article. So I'm not sure how long it takes to make one article, but it is a process of just constantly kind of poking at it until it happens.
Now, are you doing any audio or video content also, or is it like almost 100% written content?
So I was doing a podcast. I got about, I think, 10 or 11 episodes in, and then I decided to stop. I actually removed the podcast yesterday.
Why is that?
Well, I have a 6-month-old at home, and he's teething, and it's really hard to find time where I can record without there being screaming in the background.
We're familiar with that. The answer to your question of when you can record is 3 a.m. That's the perfect start time. As long as you're quiet enough where you don't wake the baby. Then otherwise just hell to pay for that.
I like to work. I like to work on the websites during the week, like before and after work. I really like to get up really early and get a few hours on the website in before I have to go to my day job.
And congrats on the new baby, by the way.
Thank you. Man. That's and this is your first one, right?
Yep.
Cool. It goes by quick, man. Mine is going to turn 6 in September,
and mine turned 2 in May.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And his kid could totally beat up my kid.
Yeah, my kid's like 3 times the size of his 5-year-old at 2.
Yeah, but what has surprised you about being a dad? What's been the cool thing about being a dad for you?
I don't know. It's been quite the experience, but I feel like over the past few weeks, he's really been growing and developing. Cause I felt like the first few months were, you just kind of feed and sleep. But now he does something new every week and it's super crazy. But
they'll say words like, my mama got faced in the banana patch.
He's still a little way up. A little ways from there still, but you're going to see him start to stand and then start to crawl, start to walk, and that's all. That's like the next phase, which is a lot of fun, having just gone through all that. Now, I do want to get back to the topic that we kicked this show off with. Can you tell us the difference between a nerd and a geek, or is there a difference? Since Andres, he's so graciously asked the question.
Yep. So in my opinion, a nerd is someone who's very almost like intelligence focused, where you like computers and kind of like math and just really like, I feel like a nerd's a lot more academic, where a geek has like an obsession or an obsessive passion for something.
I like
like Star Wars or.
Can I be a nerd geek? Can I call myself a nerd geek of marketing?
I think that all nerds can be geeks, but not all geeks can be nerds.
I agree, 100%
agree.
with that.
Yep, definitely.
It really comes down to that. So, how do you monetize the site? You started doing it. How long have you been doing it now?
This is year 3, so about 2.5 years.
Okay, and how do you monetize?
Right now, I'm doing Amazon affiliates for just kind of my bulk of my affiliates.
And I also just did a huge cut on Amazon affiliates, right? Did that impact
it's been awful.
Yep, I had a feeling. Okay.
And the other thing is I mostly promote, comic books and small things that don't cost a lot. So really with Amazon, I have to hope that the person buys something else. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, I had a guy clicked on a link for bags and boards for comics, but for some reason he bought 5 toilets. So
thank you.
Yeah, so I made like $50, but 5 toilets. I have no idea why.
I also eats a lot of fried chicken and probably lives in the White House. So do you have any like longer range plans with monetizing these things? Because you're doing this and you're holding down a day job and you're being a dad.
Are you doing AdSense also? Did you finish that? Are you running AdSense in the back?
Yeah. Well, so here's what happened. I had AdSense and I was making like 5 cents a day, and it wasn't really worth it. And then I got contacted by a company called Ezoic. Are you familiar with them?
No,
I don't think so.
So they're an ad management platform where they do they run your AdSense for you, where they have machine learning algorithm for everyone's website. Okay. So it'll take AdSense ads, but it'll show them in the perfect place for your audience.
And what do they get? They take a cut?
They take, I believe they put one ad at the bottom of your site that they take the cut from, and then all the other ads go to you.
Okay.
And I actually made like more than 100 times more with them. Oh. But I got to a point where my site was running slowly, and I was having some mixed content issues because my site runs HTTPS.
Yep.
Most ads run HTTP. So my site was slowing down, and I kind of stopped liking that company, Ezoic, because they wanted you to pay $20 a month for a site speed boost. And I'm like, I work so hard to make my site run fast, and you want to charge me for the site speed you took from me. Like,
that's kind of a racket, man.
Yeah, it didn't sit right. It
seems a little shady on that. I mean, they got you in with the initial kind of financial reward, but then they slowed down your site in the process, which is going to impact your SEO ultimately. So,
definitely,
yeah, I think it's probably good to separate.
The other thing I didn't like was you had to point your name servers at them, which I was not super comfortable with.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But the money was right at first, and then I so my goal for ads now is I want to get up to the threshold where I can sign up with Mediavine. I heard people like that company a lot more. But yeah, basically at this point, I'm shopping around for a new ad management company that isn't straight AdSense.
Now, have you experimented with putting your articles on Medium also, or some other sort of blog aggregator like that? I don't know what the restrictions are, if you're allowed to keep them on your own site and Medium at the same time or not, but have you played with anything like that too?
I believe with Medium specifically, you post the article on their site, but they do give you a canonical link back to your site. Mm-hmm. So that does help a little bit. I have posted some underperforming articles on Medium, hoping to give them a boost, but it doesn't really help that much. Okay. I did sign up for, like, when I first started the site, I signed up for like over 100 of those like free blog aggregators. And the only one that really consistently brings me traffic they're called Blog Lovin'.
No, I did, because you mentioned traffic. You had said ahead of the show. So tell the listeners how much traffic are you driving to that site every month?
Effective Nerd gets about 10 to 15,000 hits, or 10 to 15,000 sessions, which is probably like 20,000 hits on average. And then my new site, Hype Crumbs, which I started a few months ago, gets about 3,000 to 5,000, which is pretty fast. But that's because a lot of the articles came over from an Effective Nerd, so a lot of the SEO followed. So the site started off on pretty good SEO standing where a new site wouldn't.
And are you tracking user behavior much? Are you looking at like heat maps or anything like that and like how people consume the content, or are you just kind of tracking your numbers on hits and things like that?
I actually prefer to track keyword rankings just because that's something that I can directly control, where I feel that looking at the numbers itself, like just the number of hits doesn't really tell me what I need to do, where I can see if SEO is, if my SEO is improving, then I know my site is going to improve overall. That's something that I really try to stress to the artists and the creators that I work with. I feel like a lot of artists and musicians feel that they have to put all their eggs in the social media basket, where it doesn't really have a great return on investment, where focusing your website towards SEO would really help improve it. I actually had a website. A friend of mine was running a comic book publishing company, and he had a lot of success writing drawing tutorials, like how to draw a dragon, how to draw a car, where he would rank for those keywords, and then people would come to the site, and then they would see his comic publishing and buy his comic books through that. So I try to tell creators to have a setup like that if you're an artist or a musician.
Okay. And so have you thought about maybe selling this as a service where to other companies instead of doing the elder care, or is like elder care kind of the thing that you really want to focus on? I mean, because this is like what you do, you could sell this to companies and probably make a lot of money, man, because it's very effective.
Is this a hobby or a business is the question, I think, right?
I guess kind of both. So I would love to have the site be my main job. Like that would be awesome. I'm actually in like $100,000 of student loan debt. So I actually want, one of the other reasons why I started the website was to help me pay down my loans faster.
Wow.
And so my goal is to, with the website, is to help get me out of student loan debt. But if we're thinking like way further down the line, I would love to have it be my full-time job. That said, I don't really know what steps I need to take to begin doing that.
Can I ask you about, because you mentioned that you're interviewing people for your articles. So, I mean, are those taking place on like a phone call? I mean, were those being converted to a podcast at first there in those 10 episodes that you ran, or like, I'm just, because you're already spending the time to interview people. I'm just wondering, like, is there a way of making multiple formats of the content just because it's you're killing two birds in one stone kind of thing? Was that what was happening, or how do you run that, or is that more like the way your process doesn't lend itself well to like podcast format?
For the interviews, I do it via email. I have a questionnaire that I have, and it may seem lazy that I use the same questionnaire with every interview, but I do it on purpose because I ask very specific questions like, what do you do to maintain productivity? What do you do when you feel burnout? And since I have 100 creators all asking the same question, I can then build more content off of that because I have 100 answers to the same question. And the podcast was actually, I was basically just reading my blog post. I wasn't reading my blog post, but I would pull up my blog post and use it as an outline, and then I would kind of just talk by myself about the topic. So I was essentially converting my blog posts into podcast episodes, but not the interviews, so just the actual writing.
Why is that?
Why is what? Sorry.
How come you didn't interview the people in your podcast?
Oh, I honestly it was something I was planning on, but I wasn't sure how to set it up. Whether, do I record over Skype? Do I record this? I was also having some microphone problems myself, but a friend of mine actually sent me a really nice microphone, which was cool.
Oh, that's cool.
But
it's a great format, but Effective Nerd definitely, I mean, one of the things I like about it too is that you have resources on there simply to help people. And one of the things I'd love to ask you about is because you mentioned something, which is this idea of like, trying to figure out how to adult well. And I think that a lot of us, Gen X and beyond are facing that exact same thing. In fact, I think that a lot of what's going on with the rioting and the protesting, a lot of it has to do with this idea of like, I don't think you're alone in your experience. I think that there's a lot of people who are dealing with a lot of different issues, including like depression and figuring out like how they're going to make it in the world. And it doesn't seem like the system, capitalism as it's set up. I'm a true capitalist, but the way that capitalism is set up seems a little bit retarded. I mean, and I don't
Careful
mean that,
with that word.
I don't mean, hey, that's not a slight on people who are mentally who are mentally challenged. I'm talking like the system retards people from moving forward in it and thriving. So I mean, how do you feel that you're picking up on that zeitgeist a little bit?
That's what I try. That's what I try to do. I really like. Well, so Effective never started off as kind of that, about how I wanted to help kind of geeky and nerdy people adult better. Mm-hmm. But about 6 months into running the site, I realized I kind of did some analysis, like, oh, I've been doing this for a while. Let's see how it's going. And I found out that my audience was mostly comic book creators, musicians, painters, artists. So at that point, I kind of shifted the site where instead of it just being, like I play World of Warcraft, but I need a better job, it kind of shifted into I'm in debt and I have a day job, but I really want to be an artist or a musician. And the site kind of focuses on how to take your art and kind of add the business entrepreneur kind of stuff to it.
Yeah, that's super important. So what would you say are along the way, how does someone make that transition going from, working a crummy job that they hate to being like an artist that makes money?
From starving artist to thriving artist.
I'm not sure what the exact path is, but a few things that I find that creators kind of lack. There's kind of this weird mentality in the art community where if you show that you care about the business side of your art, you're kind of seen as phony. Mm-hmm. And I'm really trying to get rid of that kind of negative stereotype where I only make art for money. And I try to show artists that it's okay to care about the fiscal side of your art. And because it's funny, you'll see creators who say, oh, I'll never get out of this job because I'll never make money from my art. And then I say, hey, why don't you do this, this, and this? And then they say, oh, well, that's phony. I don't want to be this uptight business person. And like kind of helping them find the balance. And like I said before, I think a lot of artists don't really establish themselves online all that well. Like I think for every artist, you need a website, and you need a website that is SEO friendly. Yep. And what I encourage, say, musicians to do is every single gig that you play, write a review of the venue, and then you have the possibility of ranking for that venue. Because a lot of like small bars and stuff don't have great SEO, so that's really an untapped resource. Is you play at a bar, you write a review about how the staff treated you, how the show went, and then now when someone searches for that bar, your review comes up. A lot of times it can come up over the actual bar's website as well.
Wow.
So I think writing about your experience as an artist in a way that's SEO friendly will help drive people to your site, which will then drive people to your art.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And it's it's hard also though. I mean, it's more passive doing it that way because I'm finding. In fact, I have a client that I'm working with right now, and just today we made the decision to not do any email marketing because it's just too much noise. There's too much competition.
Yep.
So we have to come up with more unique ways to be seen, and one of those ways is to do webinars, and create a webinar, invite those demographic of people that you would want to be in there, and then create the webinar around that interest. Keyworded in that way. So I think that this is great. But it's amazing because you also, I mean, you write about nerdy stuff, but you also have this really deep knowledge of SEO. And have you thought about doing that as well as a sideline?
I would love to. I'm just not sure where to start with that. I actually have done SEO consulting, but more for friends, where I'll say, hey, here's all of your website data, and then here's a to-do list of things that you need to do. And then they'll email me back when they've done everything on my to-do list, and then I'll track their SEO. And I've had some good success with that, where I've helped certain creators increase their brand.
What's unique about you
SEO
versus a lot of other SEO consultants is that you're actually you're approaching it from the perspective of a blogger, not as a business person that's just teaching SEO without having the blog on the back of it. So I don't know if you listened to our episode maybe 6 months ago with Matt Giovanisi, but he runs a pool care company and he basically teaches content SEO, kind of like what you're doing, but he's built a nice multi-six-figure business on the back of that. Yep. And it's like, so there's opportunities there, but it's like when you approach it, you shouldn't approach it like every other SEO consultant. You should approach it from the fact that, hey, I have this website, Effective Nerd, that I've taken from 0 to 15,000 hits a month. This is how I did it. Have some kind of a course or live training and sell that, because I do think that is a more unique approach than your average kind of business consultant that is just like, here's the strategies that, but I don't have the website on my back end to prove that it works, kind of thing. So does that make sense? Yeah.
And I've tried doing that. The hard thing I've had is, I guess, finding clients, because a lot of, like I said, I work with a lot of musicians and comic book creators and artists, and a lot of them, either the SEO kind of back end web stuff is just so far over their head, or they just don't care about it at all.
Yeah.
So finding people that are interested that aren't already like entrepreneurs is kind of difficult for me. I also
well, there's also
I get
an
a little bit
opportunity.
of imposter syndrome.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's also an opportunity for you to write articles for those brands, depending on what your bandwidth looks like, because that also takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I'm
and
sure
I totally get the imposter syndrome thing, man. That is so common. I deal with that, myself every day. It's very real, Yep. It's like something that I had to do a lot of mushrooms to get over that. So you just started Hype Crumbs too, and Hype Crumbs is more. You were saying that's more like mainstream kind of reviews, and I notice here that you've got the your first impressions of the Run the Jewels. What do you think of the album?
Oh, I love that album. I'm a huge hip hop head, and I was waiting for that album for a long time. So the fact that they not only dropped it early, but dropped it early for free, they've been one of my favorite groups over the past few years, and I thought the album was really good.
Yeah, Killer Mike definitely has it going on. That's for sure. So you said you decided to like split it because is it more that you wanted something that was really geared towards indie and helping the independent artists, and then the other thing is just more about your love for more of the mainstream stuff? Yeah, well, what happened was, the menu on your website can only fit so many categories, and I like having kind of like almost like a 5-factor approach to Effective Nerd, which is development, resources, productivity, inspiration, and culture. Right? Those are my 5 categories. And I reviewed a lot of comic books and a lot of albums. And what I found was, if I'm reviewing a comic book, that goes under culture, so I found out that I kind of did an audit of my website, and I found that 50% of my website was under the culture category. And I was like, why am I going to review all these comic books when they're not even being promoted on the homepage or being promoted on other parts of the site? So I kind of felt that all of my art reviews were kind of being stifled.
and deserved their own website. So Hype Crumbs is the kind of like my reviews and my thoughts on art, where Effective Nerd is our artist development and kind of blogger development website. So I kind of offer like the full package. So like if a musician has a new album coming out, I will write a review of the album on Hype Crumbs and then interview them on Effective Nerd. And then that way they kind of have this crossover, but then they also have their own separate space.
That's cool. So what are your favorite comics that you're reading right at this moment?
I recently read a comic called Abducted. It was ran by my friend, or it's written by my friend Zach Herring, and it's cool. He describes it as I don't know, it's kind of like a trippy sci-fi kind of story. It's a woman keeps having like flashbacks, and then she gets into a car accident, and when she wakes up, instead of being in a hospital, she's in this laboratory where they find out that she has like these weird mental powers going on, and she's in this kind of facility. And then this old like radio host also kind of figures out what's going on, and he kind of goes into it, and it's cool because it's like sci-fi, but it's also very trippy. So it has kind of almost like a Philip K. Dick kind of vibe to it.
And where do you get something like that? You said your friend made it. Is it a comic that you? Is it like a digital, or did you buy it? Did you get? How
is it sold in stores? Is it only sold online, or how? Yeah.
That comic specifically, they put up on their website for free.
Oh, cool. What's that website? I gotta check.
I believe it's abductedthecomic.com.
Now, are you a fan of like the Marvel movies and like the more traditional superheroes too, or do you like the more obscure comics like Abducted and things like that?
I'm not a big superhero person in general. That said, I've seen like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I've seen the first Avengers. I do like Batman, just like grew up on Batman.
Oh yeah.
But I tend to prefer non-superhero stories. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. That's kind of what reinvigorated my interest in comics as an adult, was reading The Walking Dead. I also like Chew. Are you familiar with that comic?
No.
Mm-mm.
It's based in a world where chicken is illegal. So you have like chicken dealers, almost like that episode of South Park. But the other thing is people have superpowers, but they're all food based. So there's someone who can make guns out of chocolate. They can make knives out of tortilla chips. The main character, anything that he eats, he gets like a dead zone kind of psychic impression of, and he's a homicide detective. So he can like bite the corpse and figure out who killed them, kind of thing. Yeah,
how old are you? I'm curious.
I'm 31.
You're 31. Okay, so you're a little younger than me and quite a bit younger than Andros. Right on.
Yeah, old man. So what do you? We're creeping up here towards the end of the show, but since we're on the topic of geekiness, what do you give me the rundown of the stuff that you're most geeky about, and then I also want to know for like comics and movies and TV shows, what you feel are like the top.
Yeah, I want to hear some movies eventually here.
Yeah.
Oh well. For what I'm geeking out about, we kind of talked about this before. I've been playing a lot of Rocksmith, which I know is kind of an older game, but I play bass. I can play guitar decent, but I can play bass pretty well. And being in quarantine...
Real quick, Rocksmith is the one where you're actually like playing a live instrument. It's like Guitar Hero, but it's like a real instrument,
with a real guitar.
Yeah, okay.
And then not only that, there's a website called SoundForge, and people can upload their own renditions of different songs. So there's like... I think I have like 2,500 songs on Rocksmith. It's like bananas.
I just had to get clarity, but go on.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I've been in bands my whole life. So being in quarantine and not being able to play music with people is, it's not that much fun. So Rocksmith, even though a lot of the songs on Rocksmith I can already play, so the learning aspect of it isn't always there for me. But just the fact that I can throw a song on and just play along with it has really helped during quarantine.
That's cool.
So I've been doing that a lot. And I have learned a lot of songs as well. But many of the songs that come kind of stock with Rocksmith, I've played with other bands before. But it's just good that, like, actually play the instrument. I also produce hip-hop music. So that's something that I've been focusing on during quarantine a lot as well.
Do you do beats and like stuff like that?
Yeah.
Nice.
I started off in punk bands as a child, and by the time I was 16, I was playing gigs almost every weekend, and I've been in a handful of bands since. But I kind of got to a point where I was fed up with having to kind of coordinate my schedule with 4 other people to be in a band. So I started teaching myself how to produce electronic music and hip hop. And then I'm from the Albany area of New York, so I started going to hip hop shows in my area and really learning about the different artists that live in my area. And yeah, I've been just teaching myself how to produce hip hop.
If you can help us get like an awesome intro beat for Marketing Geeks, I think we're happy to play that. So.
Yeah, we actually what we want to do is we want to do like a diss track.
We're gonna take on Joe Rogan and take on some of the big podcasters in space.
We want to have like a total diss down.
We saw what Machine Gun Kelly did for Eminem, and we want to do it to all the top podcasters.
That's right. We want the $100 million deal for Spotify. Why not? So
I got beats for you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So what about like TV shows and movies?
TV shows. So my favorite TV show of all time is The Mighty Boosh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know that one. What is that one?
It's a British show. It started off as a radio show and I think a stage play, and they turned it into a 3-season TV show for BBC.
Where can I find it? Is it on? Can I get it on?
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Okay, I'll look it up for sure.
And it's about 2 guys. One of them's kind of lanky and awkward and into jazz music, and then the other one is like very fabulous and kind of over the top and popular. And then they go on these like magical adventures together.
Nice. And anything current that you're digging?
Yeah, my favorite current show, I think they're filming the 3rd season now, is I'm Sorry on True TV with Andrea Savage. I think that show is so funny. I think we've watched it all the way through. I don't even think I can count how many times it's through.
True TV. Yeah, it's hard to like here in the Netherlands. They don't have the I have to use a VPN or something to try and get that stuff because it's not available.
Well, what about movies though? Any movies recent or like all time, like any classic movies that you're that you
what are your favorite movies of all time? The most
give us a couple. Give us like 5.
Movie, yeah.
My favorite movie, I tend to like horror and like weird psychological movies.
Okay.
So I like Memento and Fight Club.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And I like the Saw movies a lot, despite all their problems. I almost wish they had written the entire story for Saw before they made the movies, and they made it like a tight 4 or 5 movies instead of just 8 all over the place.
Kind of like
movies.
the most recent Star Wars trilogy. They should have written it first.
Do you want to hear my tinfoil hat conspiracy on Star Wars? I'm going to actually say it out loud.
Go for it.
Okay, please. So I actually, there's a part of me that, now I don't buy into like any of the, Illuminati, anything like that. I believe that there are forces that definitely make things happen. But, in the Star Wars universe, Disney would be the empire, right? And when I was a kid, Star Wars came out in 1977. I was born in 1970. I was 7 years old. Nothing was that was it. Star Wars was it. And everybody wanted to be like with the rebels and have a lightsaber and be a Jedi, right? Nobody you couldn't buy like a Darth Vader T-shirt or Stormtrooper T-shirt, but in this current trilogy, there was a lot of marketing around the dark side. It was all like it seemed to be more heavily skewed towards the dark side. And I actually think that on some level, Star Wars so inspired hope and made people aware of what the evil empire really is. It was a cultural shift, right? It put a whole new terminology into our culture. And I think that the powers that be don't have it in the best interest to make people feel like rebels. I think that they think that the empire is cool, so we should all be part of the empire. So I think that it was a deliberate attempt to dismantle the Star Wars universe in a way that was going to make them a ton of money, but also make people not care about it anymore.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's my conspiracy tinfoil hat theory.
What do you think, Aaron? Any feedback on that?
Kind of makes sense. Like if they're leaning towards the dark side, I kind of see that in almost like a cultural sense. So we seem to have had a shift towards negative emotions culturally, where like just think about how toxic like a lot of the social media platforms are. So I think people like that, and especially from like a marketing standpoint, you have like negativity seems to sell really well, especially on social media. So I can definitely see where they would kind of lean towards the bad guys a little bit.
Yeah. Because the only way I can explain the trilogy, the last Star Wars trilogy, was that you had to go out of your way to make something that awful. I mean, it was unbelievable. So,
well, Disney is the empire, and they're promoting themselves in a way, right? It's all a big metaphor. Wait, I gotta ask one question though, because you mentioned Fight Club, and I'm a big Fight Club fan. And I would really love to get Chuck Palahniuk, the author of Fight Club, on this podcast. I think that'd be probably a tough get. He's a very interesting guy. If you ever listen to his interviews, they're like some of the most graphic conversations you'll ever hear in your life. They're very interesting. Yeah,
he's my second favorite author. I've read.
I was going to ask if you read the books too. You do.
A large portion of his books. I've read Fight Club. I read the novel, and then I own all of Fight Club 2 and Fight Club 3.
Did he already do Fight Club 3? I didn't even realize that one was out yet.
Yeah, I believe the full run of the comic is done.
Okay.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that there was a comic.
They're graphic novel comic releases for Fight Club 2 and 3. Yeah.
And Chuck Palahniuk wrote those?
Yep. It gets real meta.
Oh man, I got
to the point where it's like hard to understand, but it's really cool.
I love shit like that. I gotta check that out. I had no idea. So, you said it's your second favorite author. Who's your first?
J.D. Salinger.
Oh yeah.
Not Theodore Sturgeon.
So, do you buy into the theory that J.D. Salinger actually was writing a book a year but never published them? And then there's like a ton of J.D. Salinger books that no one has ever seen.
No, I never even heard of that.
Yeah,
actually,
apparently, the rumor goes is that every year he would go to his bank and drop a package off in the safety deposit box, and he apparently was writing novels, but just didn't want to even publish them anymore.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, no, when I moved into the house I currently live in, I found an original copy of Catcher in the Rye in the attic.
Wow.
That the last people had left. And I read it. I want to say it was maybe like 11 or 12 at the time, and it was just my favorite book. And I read it, it's funny because being a child and then being a teenager and being an adult, like that book, every time I read it, it reads completely differently throughout the course of my life. Yeah. Actually, my son's name is Holden.
Oh, really?
Because
that's cool.
It's my wife's favorite book as well.
Holden Caulfield. Hey, did you ever see that movie Igby Goes Down?
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, you should see it. It has it's really, really good. It's called Igby Goes Down. It has what's his name from Jurassic Park?
Sam Neill?
No, the other guy.
Oh, Goldblum?
Yes, thank you.
Jeff Goldblum.
How could I not remember Jeff Goldblum? Jeff Goldblum's in it, and it seems to me that somebody along the line went, I want to make a Catcher in the Rye movie, and they couldn't get the rights, so they did this instead.
Oh, cool!
But it's good. It's really, really good. So if you get, it's kind of old, but if you get a chance to see it, Igby Goes Down is pretty. Has Macaulay Culkin's brother in it. He nails it.
Rory
he nails it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good.
Really, really great. Well, Justin, what are you geeky about right now?
Well, I got this new microphone, so getting all this set up going, kind of excited about that. But I don't know. I haven't really dove into a lot of movies. Actually, I did watch the new remake of The Invisible Man, which was it was okay. It was decent. I mean, it's worth a watch. I think I wouldn't go out of my way to call it like good or great, but it was watchable. How's that? That's a great
Elizabeth
review, right?
She's fantastic.
Yeah,
Elizabeth Moss is like
it's a good moment. It definitely had some good moments in it.
Yeah, okay. I've been. It's there. It's on
it's
my
there.
list. I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. And as for me, I think I mentioned last week. I binge watched with my wife Fleabag on Amazon Prime.
That's right. Yeah, I still haven't looked at it yet, but
it's a total binge watchable show. It's one of the better things that I've seen. And I also mentioned that I started watching Picard, and I went in with, like, I was so excited about the show, and literally 30 minutes into it, I'm like, this sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, sure enough, it's really, really sucks.
I watched the first episode of Picard, and I didn't have as viscerally negative of a reaction, but it was definitely not like all that great. And
you didn't watch episode 2?
I didn't watch episode 2. I didn't make it that far.
Yeah, and so final question: what do you think? Where are we cosmically in what's happening right now? What do you think? What do you think's really going on with our culture, our planet, our world, the way that people are reacting? What do you foresee the next steps being in the next few years?
That is an incredibly heavy question. I don't know. We're seeing, I think kind of what we're seeing is almost like a realignment of expectations, where at the same time we're also almost seeing like a huge cultural shift, at least towards, I guess, the way we treat other people and the way that we run businesses. I think COVID has a huge impact on our society. I think we're going to see a lot more people working from home.
Yeah.
Which I am a huge advocate for. Because even think, I was talking about this with someone the other day, where if you have a 20-minute commute to work, that's 1 week a year in the car. Yeah. So if you can get everybody working from home, then you're freeing up just weeks and weeks and weeks in just everyone's lives. And I feel that'd be a huge stress relief for people. And I think it would really help us, be more productive in things that matter, such as, our culture and our politics, instead of having to just worry about, wake up, eat, go to work, eat, go to bed. You actually have this time to kind of develop yourself more outside of your profession.
The only potential downside to no commute is the Marketing Geeks listeners that like to listen in the car but might not listen otherwise. That's the only downside I can think of.
That is a downside.
Yeah,
you got to admit. Maybe we should just be shorter so people can do it while they're eating breakfast or whatever.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Aaron Iara, go to effectivenerd.com, sign up for the newsletter. You get nerdiness right into your inbox. Man, I want to have a longer conversation with you about music and all sorts of things. So
definitely,
we'll definitely stay in touch. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. This was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. It was fun.
Aaron Iara, everybody. Woo! That was cool, man. I just love the fact that he's just geeking out. And,
geeking out. He's very authentic. That's like he's very authentic.
Totally
to
authentic, man. Yeah. I like that dude. I want to hang out with him. I wish I lived close to America. No, not right now. I don't. But I would so hang out with that guy. But
you just got to get him to come to you. That's all. Get him to come to you.
I've been trying to get you to come to me, and
I believe the travel bans, or if there are still in effect.
No, I think that Europe is actually shutting down anyone coming from America. So
probably because our caseloads are growing over here.
Yeah, maybe a second, dude. So righteous, and you holding down the fort over there in the
holding down the fort. I got my new microphone. Excited
Sounds
about
great.
that. Yeah, hopefully hopefully it comes out pretty good here. And
this is the Shure. What is it?
This is the Shure SM7B. So
the Shure SM7B.
I've upgraded from the beginner mic, which I always tell people. Any USB mic is pretty much a beginner mic, but I was running the Yeti Blue, which is a really like middle of the road microphone, not ideal for podcasting. This is the Shure SM7B. This is the mic a lot of top podcasters use, and so far so good. Yeah.
Well, put a link to your Amazon.
Of course, or my Walmart affiliate, depending on who pays more.
Yeah, well, I will. I may buy one from you, man. I mean, I like this mic; it's pretty good. But I don't like. Who sounds better? Let us know.
Yeah. Who sounds better?
Leave a comment. Probably you. People say that I yell too much.
Yeah, you do. But I you know what I really want though is I want to get those beats from Aaron, and we want to get some diss tracks going, and maybe some new theme song for a while in the beginning there too. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's time we upgrade. We got to upgrade. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, and with that, we are the Marketing Geeks. Marketing Geeks, come on, bring your friends. We'll learn marketing from distant lands. Uncle Sturgeon and Justin Womack, fun will never end. It's Marketing Geeks.
Out. Stay classy.